CityCast Pittsburgh is brought to you today by the Heinz History Center. We have been hyping up their Pittsburgh Hidden History exhibit since it opened. And if you haven't checked it out, now is your chance. It truly is such a cool opportunity to look behind the curtain and see what the curators themselves actually love the most. Teeny tiny toy collections, spooky stuff, a huge riverboat wheel, even a bunch of shivs. The whole exhibit has gotten such rave reviews that they're keeping it going way longer than they initially planned. But it's not going to last forever, so cross a river, cross a bridge, and get thyself to the Heinz History Center. And don't forget, kids 17 and under always get in for free. Plan your visit at heinzhistorycenter.org. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, there has been a billboard in New York City this holiday season. We're talking Times Square, bright lights, pictures of puppies, telling people to move to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, it turns out, has had some complicated feelings about that. Today, we're with one of the creatives who made that billboard to talk about why they took this big swing and why trying something different is maybe exactly what Pittsburgh needs. It's Thursday, December 18th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Caroline Fisher is the head of storytelling for a new organization here in town, Pittsburgh Tomorrow. Welcome to CityCast.
Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here.
So I have heard that you like to try to convince people to move to Pittsburgh. How do you do that? What is your method?
So my preferred method is experiential immersion. So I like to bring people here.
You like to force them to town.
I like to force them to visit me, and then I take them to all my favorite spots. I'm a huge proponent of small businesses in Pittsburgh. I think it's what part of what makes us so special. And now I'm at a cool age. I'm in my 30s where I have a lot of friends who have small businesses, which is like even better. It's almost like being an aunt or something. So I take them to all of like I'll take them to Brothmonger for lunch. I'll take them to Jack with Ginger Beer for a drink. I'll drive all around all the neighborhoods. I will show them all the different types of architecture in houses. I like to also strategically plan the weather. I find that
so nobody's visiting you this time of year.
No, sadly, no. Although I do love December in Pittsburgh, but May and October I think are my preferred months that show off kind of like the seasonality. So that's my preferred method. If I can't do that, I think I'm a yapper. I'm a marketer, unfortunately, by trade. So I will talk incessantly about Pittsburgh's authenticity, which is a word that I feel like is a little played out these days. But I really do feel like there is an extreme lack of artifice or trying too hard here that other cities try to emulate now that they've kind of lost. So I like to kind of rib my New York City friends and be like, Bushwick wishes they had our dive bars and things like that. So I've been a long time Pittsburgh cheerleader. I'm really lucky that it's now my job to do that, which is exciting.
Yeah, you work for a group called Pittsburgh Tomorrow, relatively new on the scene, I think.
Yeah, about 2 years old.
Yeah, and now you've got a billboard up in Times Square. For anyone who has not seen this thing, describe the ad.
I think billboards are a really funny medium for a marketer because you have to get the message across right away. So it's very simple. It's a picture of a cute dog. We've run a couple different versions of it.
Wait, are there different dogs? I've only seen the golden retriever
different
puppy.
Different dogs, yeah.
What is the other puppy?
One I think is just kind of a mixed breed. I'll get into this, but I tried to use real dogs that were in settings in Pittsburgh within the limitations
authentic
that
Pittsburgh
I have.
dogs.
Yes, I want a real Pittsburgh dog. That's important to me.
Okay, sorry. There's a dog on the ad.
There's a dog on the ad, a happy dog doing something, playing in a yard, playing in the snow. We ran one this past weekend that was a dog in a Christmas stocking, and the copy says, "Your dog wants you to move to Pittsburgh."
Why that? Why that message?
Okay, so I think I'll tell you the long story of how this came about, which is that at Pittsburgh Tomorrow, many of us are dog people. And I think in the zeitgeist right now, and for all time perhaps, but dog moms is like a huge thing. Like I feel like dogs are more important to people than ever.
Maybe more important to people than other people sometimes.
Exactly. So I think we have always talked about like what our dogs are doing over the weekend and stuff. It's just like small talk and fodder around the office. And the founder of Pittsburgh Tomorrow, this guy, Doug Hoyk, who's a journalist, was like, I've always wanted to make a TV commercial that features a dog running around Pittsburgh and just looking like so happy. And I just think that would be such a great like POV to show off like what Pittsburgh has to offer, like the combination of sort of the urban and natural setting in such close proximity, the seasons, the like air of joy that sometimes persists in a dog running through Pittsburgh. So anyway,
that's a grandiose vision.
It truly is.
I wouldn't say that's exactly what comes across on this big bright billboard, but I get where it was going.
So that's the origin story of it. And the reason that we ended up doing it at this time is because we launched a new platform called PittsburghPioneer.com that is intended to help make building a new life in Pittsburgh much more seamless and easy than it is right now. So we wanted to sort of do something a little bit splashy, a little bit eye-catching around the launch of that. I think out-of-home marketing now is almost as much about like the PR reception and people seeing it online as it is people seeing it in person. So we wanted to do something that we knew would get attention and hopefully delight people.
I think you achieved part one of that. I think it depends on the perspective on part two. I mean, what do you make of some of the criticism of this? Like, I guess first and foremost, like who is this ad supposed to be for? Because it's in New York City, it's in Times Square.
Sure, yeah.
Who is the message for?
It's definitely the intent of the ad is towards New Yorkers, which I think one of the criticisms was like, well, New Yorkers don't go to Times Square. Times Square is a huge hub of daily traffic and travel. There's 400,000 people a day that walk through that specific area where we had the billboard.
And it's during the holiday season.
So if you're going
to have people you need to lead around town to see the sights, like now would be the moment.
Yeah. And I feel that Times Square is kind of an iconic location to place a billboard. If you're only going to do a short run or one billboard, it is a center of activity. And we were able to get a deal because there are many vendors in Times Square that run like shorter media buys. We are really, as a nonprofit, like very scrappy with our spend and very, very minimal in the way that we want to purchase media. We don't ever want to be perceived as like spending an exorbitant amount of money. So we were able to get one of these third-party vendors who owns a billboard. They sell shared space on the billboard for a really affordable cost. It was $500 a day. And so we did 4 days. We spent $2,000 total on that billboard. But yeah, I mean, to go back to your original question, of course, the target is New Yorkers. New York is consistently ranked as one of the top outbound migration for Pittsburgh. And I think that the reason for that, and this is just speculation as a person who once lived in New York City and moved to Pittsburgh immediately after, is everything that dog kind of represents. It represents space. It represents a freer, easier lifestyle, perhaps, than what you're experiencing in New York. And I think, for me at least, one thing that always made me sad about dogs in New York was like seeing them in these like tiny little dog parks and like going to the bathroom on the sidewalk, like just thinking about the amount of green space in Pittsburgh and the seasons and the ability to like give your dog a better life was kind of the cheeky message that we were going for there.
CityCast Pittsburgh is brought to you today by Aura Frames. If you are still looking for a great holiday gift, but you're, say, lacking inspiration, first of all, that is not on us. We are full of great ideas. But here is one more. Aura Frames are a perfect gift for someone who already sort of has everything that they need, but can be really tough to find something that they might want. No lie, I was a teeny bit skeptical of digital photo frames at first. My mom's had one for going on 20 years, and it's been great, but it's static. It was a whole thing for my dad to take out its little SD card and update it with new photos every so often. By the way, none of which the rest of us got to see in advance or pre-approve before suddenly here they are rotating over the breakfast table. Aura Frames has solved for that. You, the gift giver, can preload photos before the frame ships, and then you keep adding them from anywhere, anytime, all from your phone. It is so easy, and you can handpick your favorites before they show up on the frame. Aura will even wrap it in a premium gift box with no pesky visible price tag. Just easy to set up joy for anyone you're buying for. You cannot wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames. They were named #1 by Wirecutter, and you can have one by using promo code CityCast at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.com, promo code CityCast. This deal is exclusive to our listeners, and the frames do sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. What's the goal here with Pittsburgh tomorrow? I've heard you talk about how you think the city needs to grow. How do you think something like this billboard helps achieve that?
So yeah, the intent of the billboard is really to promote that tool, PittsburghPioneer.com, and generate some energy and buzz around the launch of it. Did I expect that New Yorkers saw that billboard and immediately got on Zillow and packed their bags to move to Pittsburgh? No, I don't. But I think moving to a new city is a long consideration process. You really have to get your message out to people at many different points along that process. There are many factors in a person's move that we can't influence. It's not really like purchasing something. It's a huge life decision that depends on your job, your family situation, your financial situation, what you're looking for.
It feels like an impossible thing to try and even measure. Like, why did you move to a place? Like, ultimately, the answer may be something really simple, like, I got a job.
Right.
But it also may be that, like, you quietly heard someone mention that this place was cool and weird and fun 17 times over the last 10 years.
Absolutely. And I think there are many cities and regions and states in America that do this sort of marketing for their place. And I think people are kind of skeptical of it working. But really, I think Pittsburgh has this...
Pittsburgh's skeptical of everything.
Pittsburgh is skeptical of everything. And I also think we have this kind of ingrained mentality that we're like a hidden gem. For example, I think Visit Pittsburgh's slogan, "Pittsburgh will surprise you," is like spot on, but also I kind of want to unhide the gem. I want people to know that Pittsburgh is amazing.
I mean, I think part of that's rooted in our reputation, our history. Like everyone talks about us as being like a smoky place. And like no one seems ready to accept that Pittsburgh may have evolved from the 1960s or the 1980s. Like,
yeah,
it's been a really slow game.
Exactly. So this is the reason to do sort of place-based marketing. And I think, again, you may think that a lot of that is being done externally for Pittsburgh, but it's actually not.
We'll talk about that. Like, I mean, it seems like we have a lot of types of recruiters in town. Like there's Visit Pittsburgh. There's all of the colleges that are trying to bring in students. The Allegheny Conference that's always talking about bringing in businesses big and small all over the region. And there are others. But like, what is the difference between what you're trying to do versus what they do?
Yeah, I think shorthand, the difference is we are focused on bringing in new residents. So you kind of phrased it in your question. The conference is an economic development organization. They're really focused on courting and wooing those big businesses. They do a great job of that. They've done it for years.
But they have to bring in the people that would then work at all those places.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I think, you know, what we want...
You want normal people, like regular people that could work anywhere.
Yes. And we also want more, you know, entrepreneurs and small business owners and creatives to move here as well. But we really, we're looking for anybody who feels that Pittsburgh resonates with them to consider living here. So that's how we differ from, say, a tourist organization like Visit Pittsburgh, who does an amazing job of bringing people in. But they're very event focused. They have a big sports arm. They're focused on these huge landmark concerts that bring people in. And I think they do an amazing job of promoting other aspects of Pittsburgh that maybe aren't as flashy as, I don't know, a Taylor Swift concert.
I mean, they kill it at the listicle game. Like if you need inspiration about where to go or what to have your family check out or whatever,
absolutely.
They do such a great job of that. And I've always thought of them as a way to be a tourist in your own city.
Totally.
But I have never considered that they're it's for us,
100%.
Not for people who are sticking around.
Yeah. So rather than, again, that sort of temporary experience in Pittsburgh, what we are really focused on is creating new Pittsburgh residents and retaining the ones that we have. Because of that issue of population growth, which sounds, I think, kind of dry, but population growth can really be a lever to solve some of Pittsburgh's issues and get us on the road to being, reaching our potential. I believe that Pittsburgh has incredible bones. I think it's a wonderful place with definitely some imperfections and some issues and some fraught history. But I do think that population growth is not just growth for growth's sake. It's a sign of a healthy, thriving city, and it can help resolve some of the things that we are struggling with here in Pittsburgh today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talk about that on the show all the time. Like, we need people here to help pay taxes so that the snowplows keep moving, so that we can buy new ambulances. Like, we talk about the fleet not doing well and the city's going broke. And that stuff is all true, but part of it is because we aren't growing. So, like, this is a thing that we all need to be thinking about. I mean, what about, like, this question of, like, why don't we make Pittsburgh more affordable for the people who live here rather than trying to appeal to New Yorkers or wealthy people who have the means to come here in that way? Like, how do you consider those questions?
Yeah, I would first of all say that I think Pittsburgh Tomorrow does not only want to target New Yorkers or wealthy people to move to Pittsburgh. We want to welcome people from all walks of life, from all places. One of our amazing staff members, Faisal Akintola, has a background in the city government. She led immigration and refugee work under both Gainey and Peduto. So we are really focused on increasing Pittsburgh's immigrant population, for example. There are statistical population reasons for that. Like, they're really likely to start small businesses. But also we just want to see more diversity and more folks here to kind of break up the current population makeup of Pittsburgh. So I would not say that we're only targeting New Yorkers or wealthy people. I think that was one billboard that we did.
I mean, I know it's the thing in isolation, right? But I assume you probably talk about that stuff, among your team and among your friends. I feel like all of us are always talking about that. Clearly, Pittsburgh is extremely attractive to corporations right now. We have a housing crisis. People buy up houses all the time.
Yeah.
I want people to move to Pittsburgh.
I want people to buy those houses.
I want people here.
Yeah.
And it's such a tough thing. We don't have any rules around who can purchase them and then try to flip them or resell them or just stockpile them. It's hard. It's a messy thing to try to think about and figure out how to solve.
Absolutely. And I will say that I personally am not, I'm not an economist. I'm not an expert on affordable housing. I am a resident of Pittsburgh who is actively engaged in all the conversations in our community. And I know that is probably the top named issue that people are speaking about right now. And I do think that there are folks who are way more qualified than me who are dedicated to resolving that issue. And I think that it is possible. The reason that I think back to, the question of population growth. And again, I'm not talking boomtown status where we change the entire population of Pittsburgh overnight. I'm talking about healthy, normal 1% year over year growth for Pittsburgh in a long-term time span, which could lead
1%. I'm trying to math. That's 300 people.
No, it's 3,000.
3,000 people. Sorry, I was almost there.
You're fine. Actually, we made headlines this year because we had just under 3,000 for the first time in the city. And I think that should not be headline news. That's a benchmark normal number.
But for Pittsburgh, that is absolutely headline news.
And it's great.
We've been incrementally going down just a few people at a time. But I think so much of that modest, humble growth was because of our immigrant communities.
100%.
PittsburghPioneer.com is the first thing that I've seen recently, at least, that like seems to be trying to cater to other languages.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of stuff here about like how to move to Pittsburgh and resources and things like that. So much is available in our city. Almost all of it's in English.
Yeah. And that was super vital to us. And I think, again, one thing that I really like about Pittsburgh Tomorrow is that we are really focused on collaborating and bringing together all these amazing organizations in our city. So we have consulted and worked with organizations like Hello Neighbor and Casa San Jose. We've worked with all the chambers. And I think one of the like imperatives for the V1, it's funny you mentioned in a previous conversation that it's like not super pretty. We were really focused on the functionality of it and the accessibility of it. So
I was talking about the website. It's fine. It's fine. It's just, I mean, Visit Pittsburgh is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, PittsburghPioneer.com does have decent user experience. Like not to be too jargony about it, but like when I click on something, I know where it's going to take me, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's available in the 7 most common languages spoken in Pittsburgh, and we're actively working to add more. And then we also have an agentic AI that's it's not ChatGPT. It's custom trained on a bunch of resources that we put into it. We fact checked all of the material that it is sourcing answers from, and that agentic AI can speak 89 languages. So again, we really want to see people be able to use this tool and for it to help people find community. We definitely have heard, it's hard to find people who speak my language, or it's hard to find a grocery store that has the kind of food I like. And that was like one of the use cases or problems that we were trying to solve by making this tool, is that there's a lot of disparate information out there about Pittsburgh, but we really wanted one central platform for newcomers. And honestly, a newcomer in Pittsburgh can be any length of time that you've lived here. I've tested that platform a lot, but I've also used it to try to find out information about my own city, and I'm from here. So
yeah,
I think that was the intent behind making it.
Can I ask why the name Pioneer? Because I've seen a little bit of criticism about that too. And I mean, I know you're never going to make everybody happy, but still.
Yes. So that word is pretty core to the ethos of Pittsburgh Tomorrow. We often use it as kind of like a psychographic profile rather than a demographic of the type of person we want to attract.
You are such a marketing nerd.
I know. I'm so sorry, everyone. I try not to be jargony, but you asked me about the Billboard. Anyway, there's a much more human story behind the origin of that word in our work, and it comes from a conversation that our founder had with Reverend Paul Abernathy, who runs the Neighborhood Resilience Project, who's an amazing person.
He is. He does incredible work here at the city.
Yeah, he was an early friend of the org in that our founder had a lot of conversations with him around what work needed to be done. And what he said about the type of people that he wants to see moving to Pittsburgh is he said, we need pioneers here, not settlers. And I think that probably goes a little bit into the criticism that folks have around that word. I am also an English nerd in addition to being a marketing nerd.
Yeah, and you said before we got on mic, you were an English teacher.
I was an English teacher, and it was an incredible job. And shout out teachers, love you guys. But the etymology of pioneer actually far predates the sort of colonial usage of it. And I think the etymology of it comes from French, and it means foot soldier, and it referred to the people in the French army who would go first and sort of clear the path for the rest of the army to follow. It also shares etymology with pawn, a chess pawn, first mover. So I think what I think a pioneer is somebody who embodies that ethos of Pittsburgh. It's a risk taker, it's a bold thinker, it is an innovator, it's a problem solver, it's a creative person, and that person can come from anywhere. And I think Pittsburgh, for a multitude of reasons, is an amazing place for somebody with that disposition to live. We have a huge legacy of innovation and sort of outsized contributions to the world. And I think that what we want is to help empower and platform the next generation of people who think and live that way.
Yeah, I mean, what is it like to have those conversations in this moment, especially? I think just the world is really weird right now. There's so much activity around ICE. Pittsburgh has a problem with longstanding segregation. There is not enough housing in the city. I know so many cities are having those problems. And our transit needs so much investment. It's a lot to overcome things like that, even when you want to cheerlead the things that are really beautiful and innovative and wonderful about the city too. How do you do that?
Yeah, and I think I personally, and I think the organization is not in the business of ignoring the realities that exist. And as you said, some of the things that Pittsburgh is contending with are national or global issues that people are contending with in many cities around the world. Some things are unique to Pittsburgh. I think that in terms of, again, the idea of bringing more people here, I think I really want people to see that, again, as a path forward to a better city for everyone. I believe that a rising tide raises all boats. I think that, again, from an economic perspective, an increase in the tax base will actually improve life for all Pittsburghers. Do I think that population growth will solve all of those issues that I named? No, I don't. But I believe that there are amazing people in our city, county, state who are working on those. I believe that there are amazing nonprofit organizations. Pittsburgh's nonprofit scene is crazy. It is so vast, and there are so many incredible people working in it who are dedicated and knowledgeable about those things. So I think, I don't think there's any other city in America that's saying we don't want people to move here. Maybe
nobody's going to lead with those pieces.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's even when talking to my own friends and family, because I'm not originally from here, like sometimes I find myself like kind of also like at least acknowledging that like, yeah, things aren't perfect here either. I choose to live here anyway. You know?
Absolutely.
So, okay, you're making a sales pitch. What are Pittsburgh's best selling points?
I think that there's a combination of things. One, and I don't want to, talk this to death, but I do think it is a city with a legacy of innovation. And I think we're in a rapidly changing time. I think that is coupled with an amazing spirit about Pittsburgh that is altruistic. So rather than sort of being like self-serving or like profit-focused, I think that Pittsburgh really has ambitions to make the world a better place, to work towards something with purpose. So I think those two things combined have actually created some of the great innovations that we've given to the world. And I would love to see that legacy continue. I also think that, again, I've mentioned this earlier in this conversation, but I think it is a beautiful place, which shocks people. I think it has an incredible social fabric. I think it has incredible authenticity. And again, like, I just think back to small businesses. I'm doing another project for Pittsburgh tomorrow where I'm kind of interviewing and profiling a bunch of small business owners and founders and just sort of creators. And each person's story has been just so, like, it has moved me to tears multiple times talking to people in Pittsburgh about the work that they do. I think we really believe that work is, again, not just work for work's sake, but for greater purpose. So I think, for better, for worse, Pittsburgh is a place of authenticity, innovation, and altruism.
Well, Caroline, thank you so much for championing our selling points here. I hope you get more people to move to Pittsburgh. I hope we have more neighbors.
Yeah. And if you're a person who doesn't live in Pittsburgh that listens to CityCast Pittsburgh, it's time to move back. Take this as your sign. It
is shocking to me how many people have told us directly that we were part of their reason to move here. Like, I can count them on two hands now. And that's so big.
It's amazing.
Like, I'm so proud
and amazing.
Also
and that
alarmed.
The power of storytelling is what I will say, is that stories matter, narratives matter, information matters. And you guys do great work here. So thanks for having me on the pod.
Thanks, Caroline. That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. By the by, Caroline says her team really does want feedback on that Pittsburgh Pioneer website. Go check it out, give it a test run. Click the blue feedback tab on the right side if you want to share your thoughts. And they have a bunch of other ways to tap into. They do forums a few times a year where people can come and talk about local challenges. They've got a leadership program for high schoolers, and very soon they're going to have a brick and mortar newcomer center downtown. If any of this is interesting to you, or you have other ideas for other big swings they could be taken, Caroline says you can always send them a message. We'll drop a link to their email in our show notes. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. We'll talk to you soon.
The first month that I got back to Pittsburgh, I was sitting in my car on Banksville Road and I was drinking a green smoothie in a clear plastic cup, and a woman in a minivan next to me starts gesturing wildly for me to roll down my window. And I'm like, oh God, do I have a flat tire? Did I cut this person off? What did happen? I roll down the window and she goes, "What's that?" And she was asking me,
what's your green smoothie?
What I was drinking. And she proceeded to ask me for the recipe. This was all at a stoplight, a red light, the recipe. And she was like, I'm going to have to try that. And that just made me feel so seen, that she just felt comfortable enough to be like, I see something. I'm curious about it. I'd like to know more. I'm going to just ask this stranger. And I think that's why I moved back. I think what keeps me here is just the social fabric of Pittsburgh is so tight knit and incredible. Everyone that I've met through my work, whether it's at Pittsburgh Tomorrow or other places, has just been so fascinating, and somebody that I always encounter again, for better or for worse.
Yep, you will see them at Giant Eagle. We'll all complain about the prices together.